Afreximbank TV.
Okay, so first maybe you want to introduce yourself, who you are, and the company's name.
Yeah, my name is Akol Ayii. I'm from South Sudan. I'm the founder and the group chair for Trinity Group of companies, which has interest in energy, technology, construction, among others.
Okay, and you started in the oil and gas sector in South Sudan, and today you've expanded into many other sectors. So what was the role of government, what was the role of development partners, such as the Afreximbank and the commercial banks, in helping you grow and expand? Can you tell us very quickly your journey?
Yeah, well, I think I started first from farming and later on grew into all this energy and so forth. I think through the ladder that we climbed to where we are today, the role of government as well as the bank, especially Afreximbank, was really instrumental when we were scaling up, and especially when we saw an opportunity to be a catalyst of the energy transition in our countries in terms of access to available energy, especially the downstream product. We were able to collaborate with the ministry, especially Ministry of Petroleum, and by extension also Ministry of Finance, and we approached Afreximbank for an import finance facility. And that facility came in handy. At the time there was a subsidy in the market, which for us in the private sector we believe was not sustainable. So with the partnership with these critical stakeholders, we were able to liberalize the market. We got a line of credit of $30 million, which was meant to roll for 24 months. It was a revolving facility. We were able to use it over that period to bring in close to 200 million liters over that period. And we saw the market that was completely dead, resurrected. We had almost 150 gas stations at the time that were closed, open, and a gas station is an ecosystem. We were able to create jobs, more than 300,000 jobs. And then I recall before the COVID, there was an IMF report that South Sudan was going to be the leading growing economy in Africa by 8.2%, followed by Rwanda by 8%. All those stories changed because of the COVID thereafter. But all these were made possible by the availability of fuel, which enabled to open the sectors that were available in the market, be it fishery, be it agriculture, and so forth.
And I know that you've expanded outside of your home country, South Sudan.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the reality of the African Continental Free Trade Area, let's say, and the facility for companies such as yours to expand out of South Sudan into the region, so into East Africa and Kenya especially?
Well, I think for us, given the geographical location of our country, we are bordered by around 6 or thereabout countries, 7 countries. For me, as a business, those are my markets. And with the ushering in of AFTF, which is going to eliminate these barriers of tariffs and so forth, and also with Afreximbank introduction of intra-Africa trade facilities.
The gateway, yeah.
Gateway. This has leapfrogged our quest for growing to this market, because ideally as a group, our interest is to be present in all the neighboring countries of South Sudan, and East Africa, all the entire countries of East Africa, and the SADC market, the SADC region, because it's a regional bloc. And our simple reason for that is that we believe we have access to the oil, which is in abundance. We want to add an interim value in that by refining it, but first we're going to take it and do a swap arrangement in the Gulf region and bring those refined products back to the infrastructure that will create. Like, for example, we are positioning ourselves in Kenya now to be in all the 47 counties. I think we are assured by that, because the initial plan was to have our presence in all the 47 counties before the end of this year. I think we are about 25 gas stations now, and we're growing very well.
Well, so in East Africa?
In Kenya, specifically.
Okay.
But we are in other East Africa countries, Uganda. We're setting up now in Tanzania, so that we can now support our operation in DRC. We're in Congo, Brazzaville. We also have a plan now to open up in Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is of a strategic interest for us, because we're going to build a refinery, 50,000 barrels per day. We're now ramping it up to 60, with the aim of selling the refined product to Ethiopia, which consumes close to 150,000 barrels per day, and they are completely importing, and we have abundance of it in the next door. So with the FTA introduction, which will then harmonize these tariffs, and with the Afreximbank, this innovative solution that they have under the intra-Africa trade, it will generally leapfrog the plan that we have put in place, and it's already working. It's helping us, and we are now working with them now to provide instruments that will support, whether it be the back-to-back LCs for mining companies that would want us to supply them fuel, or even our quest to bring in our private vessel destined to Port Mombasa that can be taken to South Sudan, and all the other market that we are currently placing.
And the refinery will be in Ethiopia, therefore?
No, it will be in South Sudan, in the Ethiopian border.
Okay.
Initially, we had planned to build it 15 kilometers away from Ethiopia border because that's our primary market. But given the fact that we are going to do a feedstock pipeline of around 300 kilometers, we then walk back the plan by building it right almost on the wellhead, so 25 kilometers from the producing field, so that we don't have to invest on the feedstock pipeline. We could track it initially, but later on at the later stage, we'll produce a product pipeline to Ethiopia, especially near where they have their reserve tanks and so forth.
Okay, fantastic. And where will the fuel come from? Where will the raw
the crude oil?
Yeah, crude oil come from?
Yeah, South Sudan, we are a producing country. We produce oil, so we will use that crude oil and refine it because
and refine it locally.
Yeah, refine it locally.
Okay.
And there's a lot of value addition. We will create jobs. We're able to pay tax, and apart from that, we currently pay a lot of transit fee to our brothers.
And importing fuel is
it's also very expensive. Yeah. Also, you have to track it all the way, thousands of kilometers from Kenya. It has to come from Port Sudan. I mean, Kenya, we don't use Port Sudan, and the only route now is from Mombasa.
And there's a carbon price as well.
Yeah.
So tell me, so when people talk about Global Africa, which is the theme of this year's annual meeting.
Yes.
Well, there's two themes. One is Global Africa,
yeah.
so really connecting the regions, so the continent with the diaspora,
yeah.
and also the one is owning our own destiny.
Yes.
So basically building national champions such as yours.
Yeah.
But first of all, in terms of Global Africa, when you look at places like the Caribbean and elsewhere in the diaspora, I mean, do you see a connection there? Do you see a business opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a business opportunity. You could see, almost literally when I landed, I would point people, I said, you are really part of us, you are really us, and so forth. And I think one of the speakers earlier today spoke vividly about the value the diaspora investment could bring into our continent. When you go with $1,000, as he rightfully put, to my country today, with the exchange rate of 3,000 to a dollar, you're talking to close to 3 million pounds. With that, I can do a lot with it. And that capital, which is currently lacking, would really come in from this kind of partnership. And vice versa. They need some essential commodities, I mean, raw material. The value could be added right from there. I was speaking earlier, again on the sideline, with someone who's saying that we could use Bahamas as a launch pad of our product. We have rare minerals, be it gold, South Sudan gold. And in fact, during COVID, I came to discover that South Sudan honey is one of the best. And I recall there's this one Japanese businessman that used to buy South Sudan honey. And he reached to a point where this gentleman could not meet its demand. And I remember the Minister of Commerce called us and said, you guys sit on a lot of South Sudan found. Why can't you invest into farmers to buy a lot of honey? And today we have thousands of tons of honey that we have, and so forth. So this kind of partnership can really bring a lot of advantage in terms of, one, capital that we need, and also the resource that they may need also to grow as well, be it tourism. If we introduce Kenya Airways or say Ethiopian Airlines and have a direct flight, I had to take 3-4 flights to come here. Yeah. So, and again, there's a connection. Most of these people really want to get back to the continent. And this kind of relationship, and with the convergence with Afreximbank being the medium of that transaction, it will make it easier. And I think there was a really rationale behind making the AGM this time, so that it can open this kind of relationship to all of us in the continent, and also for them to see. They talk of Ghana. Ghana is not Africa alone. Come to Kenya, come to Uganda, go to Tunisia. You'll see totally different story, but they only know Ghana because Ghana got independent past, there was a democracy there. But the story is the same to any other African continent.
Well, I mean, Ghana was also very clever in the coming home policy that they introduced as part of the tourism policy a couple of years ago. But I want to talk about building national champions.
Yes.
And this is extremely important ultimately, that we build African champions that are regionally competitive and globally competitive. And I believe that Afreximbank is supporting companies such as yours in becoming true national champions. So can you tell us a little bit about that journey and the importance of building national champions and supporting our own indigenous companies?
You know, the only way this thing can make sense is when you and I are involved. Because I know the pain points of the continent. I might have been maybe where I am now, but I have people who are not privileged as my own South Sudanese or fellow African. And supporting ourselves is the only way we can be able to do this, because the biggest challenge has always been capital, access to capital. One of the pillars of Trinity Energy growth is to invest in retail network. For me, a gas station is an ecosystem. And I look at a gas station because we have 3 model stations. We want to do what we call a flagship station. In going to a city like Tunisia in the capital, we build a mega station with a mall, with eateries and so forth. But I have what I call rest stations. In my country, every 150 kilometers, I want to do a gas station. And I'm buying 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer on both sides of the road. What I want to do is to create an ecosystem, because 150 kilometers in my country will be a middle of nowhere. And what I will do with that, I will be able to build a motel, create a big parking lot, do a restaurant and a small trading arcade. And then this same story, I live in Dubai, and I've seen when you go to drive to Oman, I don't see such kind of facility. You require literally everywhere in Africa. So this same model can be replicated everywhere in the continent, because a gas station is an ecosystem. We have play area for kids, car washing bay, a small shops where when you fuel your car, you need to buy sugar, you need to buy this. So I think building trade champion in the continent, and it's doable with the fact that we have a bank that provide that convergence, and then also now with the PAP introduction, so that the issue of trade and capital. I also have a fintech company. We send money today to 14 African countries. I remember the last AGM that we did in Ghana, our accommodation and so forth were paid from our wallet. The M. Grush wallet paid the hotel when we were in Ghana. And such kind of conversion. And the same platform we literally require everywhere. And you can see how it has changed also Kenya when we introduced M-Pesa. So I think having a champion and having African entrepreneurs believing to ourselves and being aided by the kind of the fund that are being brought in through intra-Africa trade by Afreximbank. Not only do we lift ourselves from the poverty, but we'll grow our continent quicker. And that's why we position ourselves in all the neighboring countries, East and Central Africa, and the entire SADC. That's our growth area in the next 10 years. And we have a serious plan to achieve that goal.
Okay, my last question really, I mean, I believe you mentioned that one of your mentors is Aliko Dangote in terms of what he's managed to do. But what is the importance of thinking big and believing in oneself?
Well, you know, you can only achieve to the extent of what you have really dreamt. And for me, Aliko was asked in the last AGM in Ghana, how was he able to be successful? And his answer was exactly the way I've been growing myself. You need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy. And with that strategy, you live by it. You just have to readjust to be still able to achieve, but you can only do that by being consistent. And he's now 60 plus, and you can see what he has been able to do. And for us, dreaming big and being consistent has been able to grow Trinity where it is today. We started from scratch. Trinity Energy was started in 2012 as a subsidiary to drive energy. Today, if it was not because of COVID, we would have become the first $1 billion South Sudanese company by 2020. But we got to have $1 billion and at that time, and it's growing cumulatively in the last 5 years, we were able to do 1.5 billion during a difficult time.
In revenues?
In revenues, yes.
Amazing.
Just one entity apart from the group at a whole. So I think believing into ourselves, dreaming big, an idea, for me I believe in an idea, I don't believe in money. If I have a great idea, I can be able to convince you. But if you give me money without an idea, I can just use it and come back again tomorrow. But I have an idea, I tell you, give me $100, I'll transfer it to $500, you'll be able to give it to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.